How's it going, everybody? As the Daybreak Show continues on, time for the Sheriff Sit Down, presented by our great friends at Our Community Credit Union. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury and Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling here. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Good to see you both. And things are hot. We're into July, and before you know it, the 4th of July holidays will be here. We got a lot to talk about. Let's start with just the population of Mason County.
Wow.
Have we gotten to the point where it's doubled because of the weather conditions? I mean, this is what we see every summer.
Seems like it.
I haven't counted everybody, but it's sure looking like it.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are coming in and they're going to be enjoying our waterways, and we need to make sure that folks are being cautious of what's going on out there. We talked, Ryan, about the water and the temperature of the water with Sergeant Severance, and it's still cold underneath the surface, and that causes some problems. The heat outside, people are on edge, fireworks are coming.
Our parks are just overloaded.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to do here for the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think the one thing for people to bear in mind, which we go through this every year, and we have for the last at least 32 years I've been doing this, and it doesn't seem like you pay attention very well, but we really do depend on people to try to do the right thing, some voluntary compliance. We all know what the fireworks laws are, and we all know that a large number of people choose not to follow those. And then we get called, and we've got literally hundreds of calls going on at the same time, and we can't make it to everyone. And regardless of how many times you call and how angry you get, we can't, there's not enough of us if we had every single person in the agency on 24 hours a day.
And even if you happened to be able to take the call, get to the location, you're still 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes away, and by the time someone's shooting off fireworks, they're either gone or on to the next thing, and you can't ever really find that person.
Or they point across the lake or across the canal to a house over there somewhere,
yeah,
and they
right.
expect us to go figure out how it is. And then by the time you get around there, and each time you do that, our call volume doubles because there's more of them coming out. It's really a challenge. It's not just the sheriff's office at Mason County. I've worked for other counties. It's the same problem everywhere.
And two, we're unique in some aspects where we have some state forest land, some national forest land, and they've got limited people working on those acres too.
And guess who they call?
They call you guys.
They call us when we have something occurring on the national forest as the bridge. And Ryan's been up there a bunch of times this year. I know that hearing from other news sources the number of problems they've had out at the beach.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not ours, but the drownings in other areas around just yesterday in other lakes around the Puget Sound area. It's real challenging.
There's some 200 lakes that in Mason County that boats can be on, and people will be out recreating and having fun. You guys can't be at all those all the time.
No.
How do you make kind of those decisions? Is it based on call logs, or you say, well, we haven't been out to, I don't know, just say Lake Newatzel for a while. Let's go see what's going on out there?
It's based on calls for service. We have calls for service and logs each year. Hood Canal, Puget Sound, major lakes, how many calls for service, and the ones that have more calls for service do get more priority. It's data driven, but remember too, we're covering those 24,000 911 calls, and that is our primary function, is to go to in progress criminal calls, and then the calls on the lakes and those type of things fall after that.
Just a side note on that. Do you guys take the numbers, and are you able to crunch all those numbers in time for your budget conversations?
Yes.
Yes.
So for this
Very
next
important.
year,
We do that with everything. We always have.
I know. I just was wondering if it wasn't going to be like a year out because you have to go through so many of those numbers to get.
This year, I don't know, you know, with the COVID thing, might be a little bit different because it seems like people are coming out of the woodwork to get out of their houses now. And the idea of the heat that we're experiencing right now, everybody's heading to the water. So this is going to be another of those pieces of a very challenging year. The thing that I would ask, again, I'm watching, of course, the big stations across the state reporting on other agencies, and we ask every year to wear life jackets. And I know everybody's such a great swimmer and everybody's too cool to wear one, but I'll tell you what, I dove for a long time, for 14 years, diving for people that didn't come out of the water, and the people that we dove for did not have life jackets on.
I know the North Mason Regional Fire Authority has opportunities for folks to go check out life jackets, and that's a huge program, very important there.
Especially for like little kids, and we've done total interviews on this before, but I talk again about the little life jackets for children, for little ones. They have the crotch strap so they don't slide out of it. You know, those kind of things are really important, especially right now. And so We're just asking people to use their very best judgment and to give as much voluntary compliance as they can. I would say, I mean, Ryan was a trooper for 25 years, and I see the traffic volumes build up, and I watch people drive and the crazy things that people are doing to pass and things, and it causes problems. I mean, big problems, and we just ask that people be patient and just a little bit.
The other thing too is not a lot of people have been interacting with folks in the last year and a half. We've kind of forgotten somewhat of our social niceties and normalities there. People are going crazy out there sometimes.
Our community's done a pretty good job, and that's one of the great things about a smaller community. People, for the most part, even with all the division in different areas, have been pretty kind to one another. It's just a lot of times we have people coming from outside of the community into our community, so sometimes that's a challenge. One thing I would, if I can go back, one of the things that causes a lot of the accidents, like on Highway 3 and those areas, is when we have somebody with a large trailer or a boat or a slow-moving vehicle who do not pull over if they have more than 5 people. We have pullouts.
Yeah.
If you are going slow, I know that it seems like it's your right to go slower than the speed limit, but what it causes is people to make bad passes. And if they're making bad passes, the likelihood of a serious injury accident has really skyrocketed, and it happens a lot. So if you're hauling some type of a heavy vehicle or a little slower than speed limit, or if you notice more than 5 people behind you, pull over, let them go, and you're actually helping in the area of safety.
I just saw a sign when I was driving around Olympia the other day, and it said, save seconds, not lives, or save seconds, save lives, or something like that. And it brings up a good point. I mean, when you're speeding down the road, you're not really getting anywhere that much faster.
Not much.
It's seconds.
No.
And somebody could be, in those seconds, come out in front of you or whatever, and that little bit of time saved is.
If you ever ride with my family, you'll hear my thing. I always tell people they need a Christmas present, and that's called a cruise control. I just can't believe how many times I counted one time recently on a very short trip that we passed the same person 8 times between here and Olympia, because they speed up and they slow down, they speed up and they slow down. They're in the inside lane doing 40, and then they do 80, and they're back down to 30. I mean, the consistency is really tough when you're out there, and people side by side or staying in the inside lane, tracking with somebody in the outside lane, and people can't buy, people get angry, people start, pushing hard, and then something bad happens.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's to the person behind them. As they drive off, they don't even know what happened.
Sure.
So that's challenging. Ryan mentioned something I want to throw in about our community. I want to throw in a plug for the fire department, especially Dan Griffey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm aware of a circumstance last week where Dan and his team went way out of the way to help some people on a call. And you just wouldn't see that. They don't have time and things and know people well enough in the larger agencies. And I wanted to put out a special thank you to Dan Griffey and his team. I'm aware of a call he was on, and as well as for us even, when one of our people get hurt or anybody gets hurt, and you go to the ER. We've been around here long enough, and we're a smaller area, but I'll tell you the care that you get out of there. And I know that last week, and I've been there several times, and I've watched Joe Hoffman work. And I'll tell you what, if there's something going on in an emergency room, that's the guy you want in there. And I just want to say thanks to Joe, for Dr. Joe Hoffman, for his extra efforts last week, because I've seen so many times people come in with things that the rest of us wouldn't even imagine to be able to handle that, and watch him work. And he's just a tremendous job. So Dan and Joe, a great week last week.
That's a good way to wrap up the Sheriff Sit Down right there. Presented by our Community Credit Union, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.